The Celtics have blown up their championship team and might not be done. So they just shipped out Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, the last two building blocks of that championship. Remember when they made the finals in 2022, lost the Warriors? Then they brought in Drew and KP, finally got over the top. Well, that is all over now. But even more destruction is coming. So Shams says they are listening to offers on Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Everybody but Jason Tatum at this point. Oh, you want a 27-year-old finals MVP? We're listening. This could happen at the draft or a few days after. But why are the Celtics tearing down their team? And what does a Jaylen Brown trade even look like? Well, so far, the Blazers got Drew for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks, and then a 3-team deal. The Hawks got KP and a second-round pick. The Nets got Terrence Mann and the number 22 pick. And the C's got George Niang and a second-round pick. Now, the Celtics did this to get under the second apron. Why? Because if you're over the second apron for too many years in a row, it just gets worse and worse. Draft picks start to get frozen. You can't trade them. Picks get automatically sent to the end of the draft, and you can't do trades. Worth it for a championship team, but Boston ain't that, especially after Jason Tatum went down. So this new owner isn't necessarily cheap. He just knows it would be stupid to pay over $500 million for a team with no chance. Now they duck under the second apron, and they can rebuild around Jason Tatum. Be ready to take another run at a championship when he's healthy. But actually, I'm pretty impressed by what they got back. Drew Holiday is good on defense, but offensively just had his worst field goal percentage in 9 years, worst from 3 in 5 years, and dude is 34 years old. Guys don't exactly get better from that point. But even worse, 3 years left on his contract at about $35 million per year. How did Boston get back young Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks? I have no idea, but they took that deal in a heartbeat. You know Simons is going to score some 40-point games at TD Garden next year. And Portland, I guess they get a vet to mentor their young backcourt? They probably saw, okay, that's what CP3 did with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So OKC just won a championship and Shai won MVP. Oh, we'll just do that for Scoot Henderson, and Shaedon Sharpe will be on top in no time. Yeah, good luck with that. Now, what I do love, though, is the Atlanta Hawks getting Kristaps Porzingis. This man is a 3-and-D center, which is perfect around Trae Young. The Hawks lineup is now Trae, Dyson Daniels, Zachary Riza-Shea, Jalen Johnson, and Kristaps Porzingis. And yo, in a weak Eastern Conference, tell me that isn't a sneaky 3 seed. Atlanta doesn't control their own draft pick the next 2 years from the DeJounte Murray deal, so they're just surrounding Trae with a team to go all in. Every guy's a plus defender, and I love KP in a contract year. Dude is a free agent next summer, and obviously the big question mark around Porzingis is always his health. But if there is any time to get him, it is right now with a lot to prove and money on the line. So the East next year. Oh, the Pacers are defending East champs? Not with Tyrese Halliburton out all year. So who's going to win this thing? Well, the contenders I have are the Cavs, the Knicks, the Magic, and the Sixers. Outside chance as a big group of teams now includes the Hawks. They get a veteran KP who fills a big hole in their roster, even though Onyeka Okongwu was improving. But what's next for Boston? Could they really trade Jaylen Brown and Derek White? Well, first of all, this is Adam Silver's new NBA, isn't it? I mean, instead of potential dynasties, we get teams that are just ripped apart by being too expensive. Oh, sure, parity's the way to go. Or did we kind of like the 90s Bulls, Kobe's Lakers, and Steph's Warriors? But Shams says the Celtics have high price thresholds for both Brown and White. I'm sure they're getting some massive offers. Their preference has been to keep both players, but this is a team that's still expensive. Will a team meet the price that the Celtics have set for Brown and White? Well, what is that price? It sounds like the Celtics want to be blown away by an offer to take it. It would have to be some offer that when it comes out we all think, oh my gosh, that's what they paid to get Jaylen Brown? Like, unless we all hate the trade, then Boston isn't even going to listen to it. So what's an example of a trade that we would all hate? Well, one report says the Celtics are aggressively trying to trade up in the draft. And at the same time, Brian Windhorst reports there are teams in the top 10 making offers. So what about the Jazz get Jaylen Brown for John Collins and Colin Sexton for salary? Then Walker Kessler, Isaiah Collier, and the number 5 pick. That is a haul of young talent for Jaylen Brown. Dumb for Utah, but Boston is looking to fleece people. But is Jaylen Brown that good? Yes, he was Finals MVP, still in the middle of his prime right now. But if he's so good, why is Boston even considering this? Well, on most teams, Jaylen Brown is untouchable. But in Boston, things are a little weird. First of all, his contract. Dude signed the biggest contract in NBA history. He will be making about $60 million per year by the end of it. And that money is normally for franchise-altering players. Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Giannis. Is Jaylen Brown in that category? Not even on his own team. Because as a Celtic, dude is 1B at best. Jason Tatum is the 1A. And part of it is his game. Brown's handle is a question mark, which is pretty foundational to the primary engine of your franchise. So yeah, Jaylen Brown is not untouchable, but this is also why I don't think he's going to be traded. I mean, who is going to overpay for a guy who's already being overpaid? In this new CBA, it would have to be a truly desperate team. Okay, so what about the Sacramento Kings get Jaylen Brown, the Celtics get Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, Keon Ellis, and a boatload of draft picks. The Nets would have to take DeMar DeRozan just to make the money work here. So it would literally be every valuable thing that the Kings have left to get back a prime star who's got no choice but to stay in Sacramento. He can't leave under contract for another 4 years. So pair him with Zach LaVine and Domantas Sabonis and maybe they can make the playoffs again. But look, if Jaylen Brown's name's already out there, why don't they just lower the asking price? What is the point of a gap year coming up if you can't even get a high draft pick? I mean, this team is not going to suck next year with Jaylen Brown and Derek White. They'll probably be a second-round exit, but the 2026 draft is loaded with talent, especially at the top. They could really tank and set up Jason Tatum with either a young talent or trade the high pick to get a prime co-star. Jaylen Brown, I know, is a prime co-star right now, but he's not a perfect fit. He and Jason Tatum are both natural scorers. Neither is a true playmaker. And dude's already got his name thrown all over trade talks. He probably wouldn't hate to leave at this point. But also, don't sleep on Derek White. He is one of the best role players in the NBA, solid on both ends of the floor, and has a knack for the big moments. Whenever Boston is in crunch time or needs a clutch bucket, White is always a threat. But this new CBA is ending dynasties. So what about the Oklahoma City Thunder? Everybody's talking potential dynasty with them. Well, it turns out there is one thing that could kill their chance at multiple championships.